You doing alright? Usually I try to keep this channel pretty upbeat, but I also think it's important to check in with yourself every once in a while. I personally haven't been feeling all that great the last couple of days. I won't go into details why, because I don't know how, but I wanted to share some things that help me get through those days. I hope that it can be helpful for you or someone that you know. First, I want to say that I'm not a professional. This is just what I try to keep in mind when I'm struggling with my mental health, and I don't even do all of these things all the time. But it helps to have a checklist to run through when you're finding yourself spiraling. The more you try, the more you practice, the better that you'll get at catching yourself when that happens. If you are in crisis, if you actually are in distress right now, I would recommend getting help. I'll leave some resources in the description below if you need that. Otherwise, let's first take a refresher course on Maslow's hierarchy of needs from Psychology 101. I'll try to be as inclusive as I can, but I understand that I won't be able to cover every single situation that deals with mental health, so feel free to leave comments or questions if you have any of those. On 3, let's just take a deep breath, okay? You ready? 1, 2, 3. There are a ton of these breathable gifts online. This is the best one that I found so far because the folding shapes kind of keeps me focused. To better equip yourself to tackle your mental health, it's important to make sure that you're physically grounded, and that means tending to your basic needs. Have you eaten in the last few hours? If not, maybe it's time for a meal or just a snack. For me, something with protein usually helps, while sugar and caffeine makes it worse for a couple hours. Also, take a moment right now, to go grab a drink. Seriously, like, pause this video if you have to, but go grab a glass of water. If juice or tea sounds better, then that's okay, but again, be mindful about added sugar and caffeine. Just make sure that you're staying hydrated. And have you been getting enough sleep? Maybe you need a nap. Naps personally tend to give me a headache when I wake up, so instead I just plan on sleeping earlier that night. That doesn't always happen, but it's the thought that counts. Do you have medication that you need to take? Are you in any physical pain or discomfort that you can tend to? Maybe you can get a heating pad or a cooling pad. If you don't have one, you can always microwave a sock full of rice or get some frozen vegetables. This is my heating pad. I love her very much. Now take a look at your surroundings. Do things look a little messy? Let's take some time to tidy up. If you can't handle all of your chores right now, that's okay. Just set a timer for like 5 minutes and see how much you can pick up. And if you have people with you, don't be afraid to ask for help. But if the people around you make you feel kind of overwhelmed, then be sure to take breaks. Head to the bathroom if you need to. On the other hand, if you're alone and you want someone to talk to, you can call a friend or you can turn on a YouTube video just for some background noise. If you have some pets, spend some time with them. There are a lot of grounding techniques that help give some padding between yourself and the situation. One of my favorite ones is one that I actually learned from BoJack Horseman. What are 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can feel, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste?
It's a trick my psychiatrist taught me. It's supposed to help you ground yourself.
Thanks.
If you need some more grounding exercises, then I would also recommend checking out Dr. Tracy Marks and Therapy in a Nutshell. They're some of my favorite mental wellness channels here on YouTube, and it helps to hear these concepts explained by a professional in the field. Now we're moving on to emotional guidance. I personally have a really hard time navigating my own emotions, so I use an app called Youper. I downloaded it when it was launched back in 2018, so they gave me all of the premium features for free. They do have some limited free features, but I think that overall it's pretty expensive, so I think it's worth trying out, but I also have some alternative options that we can go through. Basically, the most useful feature in Youper for me is when it asks you to detect your negative thinking patterns. When I started doing this, I used to select like every single thinking pattern with every situation that I was in, but now I'm getting better at pinpointing my actual thoughts, so I'm selecting more like 4 or 5. It takes time, but hey, that's improvement. Let's just talk about some common examples for now, but feel free to check out the full list of cognitive distortions in the description if you need it. I have a tendency to mind read, which is assuming that you know what the other person is feeling or thinking instead of just asking them and taking their word for it. I'm called telepathics, but I'm actually not telepathic. Yet. I also get caught up in should statements a lot, like I should have done this differently, I shouldn't have done that, they should have responded this way, they should have blah 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 blah. Catastrophizing is another one. Like seriously, don't ask what's the worst that could happen because you don't want to know my answer for that. You are not ready. Once you get a good idea of which cognitive distortions you're more susceptible to thinking, then you can start to kind of rewire your brain to think differently. The next step, in my opinion, is to rewrite the situation from a non-biased perspective. So let's use mental filtering as a hypothetical example for this. It's when you pretty much ignore all of the good stuff that's happening in a situation and only focusing on the negatives. I think that this is pretty common, especially with social media, but like if you get several really nice comments on a photo that you post or something, as soon as you get one negative comment, then it's like all of this doesn't really matter as much, and you fixate on the negative, which doesn't really make sense, but I know it happens. It happens to me, at least. To rewrite this from a non-biased perspective, step back and remind yourself, oh yeah, not everyone is going to like what I post online because everyone is unique and has different tastes. I don't even like everything that I see online. And then you can take it a step further, reframe it in a positive light, and just focus on everyone who left you a nice comment. Thanks, Mom. Some other questions that you can ask yourself would be, what is the evidence that the automatic thoughts are true? And what evidence is there that they're false? Can you flip your thinking? Maybe you've thought about the worst that can happen, but can you think about the best outcome? And then what's the most realistic scenario? Probably somewhere in between. Again, it's important to put some padding between yourself and your emotions. If you're too close, if you're too focused on the details, then it gets really hard to see the bigger picture. So let's take a step back. For now, we can get back to it later. But find a distraction. I would highly recommend that you don't mindlessly scroll on TikTok or Twitter or Pinterest, I don't know. Instead, set a timer for like 15 minutes and do something small but meaningful, like writing in your journal or taking a walk, listening to an album that you already know and you know how you will react to. You can finish up those chores from earlier, or you can take a shower. If after those 15 minutes you're still feeling kind of foggy or low energy, then it might be a good idea to move around for a little bit, like some yoga or just doing stretches. If you have the energy, you can also try a 7-minute workout. Just make sure that it's mindful. Now you can take 30 minutes to do something fun, like playing a game. My favorite right now is Animal Crossing. You can watch an episode of a show on Netflix, or you can spend time with a friend, online or offline. Since we've just taken the time to separate yourself from your initial emotions, now is probably a good time to reassess. If you find that you're still heavily affected, then it might be a good time to seek professional help, and that's okay. I think that I'm actually going to start therapy again soon, which seems really daunting in my situation because, like, do I find a therapist in France who speaks English? Do I do something online? Can I even afford it right now? I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I do know that there are plenty of resources out there. I know that I'm not alone, and neither are you. As always, thanks for watching. I hope this helped even a little bit. I'll see you on Saturday on Twitch for a live stream, and I'll see you next Tuesday here for another new video. Also, if you're wondering why I'm wearing a blanket, it's because they turned off the heating in our apartment and I'm freezing. Okay.